On the banks of the River Thames in London stands the International Maritime Organisation, a United Nations agency, and it was here that representatives of the maritime community came to launch a new action plan to tackle piracy off the coast of Somalia. Launching the plan of action was UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, who welcomed the renewed focus on the problem of piracy.
Piracy seems to be outpacing the efforts of the international community to stem it. Therefore, I welcome the decision of the IMO to pay special attention to piracy during the year ahead. Piracy, orchestrating the response, is a timely and important initiative. We need to assess what is working, what is missing, and what needs to be done.
There was widespread agreement that improving Somalia's governance and economy will be the long-term solution to halting attacks.
Although piracy manifests itself at sea, the roots of the problem are to be found ashore. This is a complex issue, but in essence, piracy is a criminal offense that is driven by economic hardship.
While piracy affects the whole global economy, it's sailors in the shipping industry who feel the hardships and costs most keenly of all.
The situation has worsened during the past years, with fiercer and increasing attacks on ships. The increased use of so-called motherships has enabled the pirates to operate at a vastly greater range, with increasing capability and with seeming impunity well into the Indian Ocean.
NATO, along with its EU and US counterparts, are working together to disrupt and deter these attacks. However, there's a limit to what these naval forces can achieve in such a large body of water.
Well, the military options are critical. I mean, you have to have naval and air forces in order to deal with the pirates out in the theater, and that's really the bottom line. And here I can just cite one statistic. I remember a couple of years ago a naval commander said that just to cover the Gulf of Aden in a way where every commercial ship could see a naval ship at all times would take 61 naval vessels. Between all of the naval actors, I think there are probably maybe on the order of 25 ships out there maximum. So clearly it's a big challenge, and then you have the Indian Ocean area, which is big as all of Western Europe up to the border of Russia. So we do need the naval assets, and we do need more air assets, we and all of the actors. The other area where we see a capacity for more work is in helping the local nations, Kenya, Seychelles, even as the UN Secretary General said, eventually Somalia itself, build its own capacity to deal with this problem in their own region. That's not something that will come tomorrow. Somalia is obviously a failed state, and Seychelles and Kenya have a long way to go, as do others. But we also need to do that. This is eventually their problem as well as ours, and they need to be part of the solution.
With 700 seafarers being held hostage on over 30 ships, the shipping industry is calling for increased international action and tougher sanctions for pirates.
The necessary legal framework for arrest, prosecution, and sentencing of these criminals must be in place and be firmly enforced. It is imperative that the practice of catch and release is discontinued and apprehended pirates brought to trial.
Despite the vast scale of the challenge, there were some positives. NATO and other international organisations were praised for their role in protecting World Food Programme shipments of vital humanitarian aid to Somalia.
Ocean transport remains the main and most cost-effective and fastest means of relief for food delivery to Somalia. Cost-effective is very critical in our world, because we try to put as much as we can into this cup, which we typically use to reach children, of nutritious porridge, to put as much of the money that were contributed in the voluntary contributions to us into this cup. Since November 2007, in a system worked out with the Secretary General's team and the Secretary General of IMO and the team here in NATO, since that time, we have been able to transport more than 600,000 metric tons of life-saving cargo directly to Somalia, largely unhindered, due to the provision of a system of escorts.
This escort system along with a transit corridor running along the Gulf of Aden, have produced good results which were widely praised. But the evolving nature of piracy ensures it's a continued challenge.
It's a sort of situation where we've termed it squeezing the balloon. You know, we've effectively, in the Gulf of Aden, we are very successful at the moment in deterring and stopping attacks. And piracy in the Gulf of Aden, there hasn't been a successful attack for many months. But of course, you squeeze the balloon in the Gulf of Aden, and the pirates are quite sophisticated. They're getting more sophisticated indeed, and we displace them then to the Somali basin.
The UN Secretary General ended with a note of optimism, acknowledging that the problem can be dealt with.
The Straits of Singapore and Malacca were once one of the world's piracy hotspots. Today, thanks to agreements fostered by the IMO, states in the region develop effective frameworks for cooperation in policing the situation.
This is David Heathfield reporting from London for NATO Channel.